What's good, Commanders fans? Just wanted to come with another off-season news dump here. And I know this time of year is a lot of speculation and stuff like that, so we definitely have to speak on it. I think some of the stuff that is being said by Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano, if I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name or butchering his last name. They are saying stuff that they've heard from certain sources, probably from Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, or certain people in the building for sure, which is probably true. And I do have ESPN Plus. I'm going to post the parts of the article here. They're talking to GMs around the league and whatnot. And then March, I think we're going to hear more. Like whenever the combine is, let me see what the NFL combine is. That's when agents talk to each other and stuff like that, and scouts or whoever, they get to talk and stuff like that, and just check in and like say stuff like, "Hey, how is this guy doing? How's that guy doing?" That's kind of how like rumors and stuff like that. So the combine is March 2nd. It's February 27th to March 2nd. That's when we start to hear even more rumors of stuff like potential trades, potential signings of free agency and stuff like that. Because free agency, I believe, starts March 12th. So that's when you're going to hear more and more stuff. But right now, we're just hearing like scuttlebutt and stuff like that, which I definitely think there's a lot of validity to it for sure from Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano. So we are going to have $93 million in cap space going into the offseason, which is really darn good for us, especially where we finished. Going to the NFC Championship to have that much money is really, really darn good for sure. It's going to be really darn good. So yeah, there's sources that saying, or people saying that the Commanders will have about $63 million in 2025 salary cap space for March free agency, which is pretty good. Right now we have, like, if you look at Spot Rack and over the cap, we have $78 million in cap space right now that they can free up even more cap space by doing different things, by like extending Terry and different things like that. So we're good money wise. We're good draft pick wise at this point. So like Adam Peters has a lot of weapons and different ways that he can attack this offseason. But I do really, really like what the article said. I love what it said, except for maybe one part, and that's really it. So this is from Dan Graziano. He says, "Are the Commanders going all in? Expect the Commanders to be aggressive this offseason in pursuing roster upgrades on defense. Much like the Texans last year after C.J. Stroud's dazzling rookie season, they brought in Daniil Hunter. They also brought in Stephon Diggs, even though that's on the offensive side of the ball. They made some moves for sure." He also goes on to say Washington believes it has something special in quarterback Jay Daniels, which we definitely do, and wants to maximize his rookie contract window. Getting to the NFC Championship game in Daniels' first year only makes Washington more likely to get aggressive for someone like Myles Garrett, if and when Cleveland decides to move him. Washington needs a lot of work on defense, and don't be surprised to see the team stretch for an impact player or two in the coming months. The Commanders were 19th in defensive EPA this season. So this is really just talking about defense. So Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, maybe signing Charvarius Ward in free agency, the cornerback. Don't highly doubt we would trade for Jair Alexander from the Packers, but Khalil Mack is a name to keep an eye on, in my opinion. Defensive end, edge rusher. Of course, the Dallas guys like a Diggy Zua, the defensive tackle from Dallas. That's not really stretching, honestly, but that is showing that you're going to spend money at the position. Trying to think who else would be super impactful. I like the cornerback position. I think Denzel Ward said if Myles Garrett gets traded, then he's going to want out as well. So you might have a deal where you can get both in DC to upgrade this defense for sure. And this is what they should do. This is what you should. When you have that amount of cap space and you have a rookie quarterback and everybody's saying, "Oh, it's a Snyder move, Snyder move, Snyder move," and all this stuff. Nah, this is different because you have a quarterback for one. You have a quarterback, and when you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, you have to maximize that window. You have to. You look what other teams are doing, like the Texans. Even though they didn't have a great season, but they still won a playoff game. I give them credit for that. They still won a playoff game. And some of their guys got hurt, like Tank Dell got injured, Stephon Diggs got injured. So if those guys don't get injured, they probably would have still lost to the Chiefs. And they had a good chance to beat the Chiefs. But the point is that you have to get better because the division is going to get better. It just is. Maybe not the Giants, but everybody else is going to try to get better and make moves, especially the Eagles. You know what they do. They make trades. They're very aggressive. And Adam Peters has been aggressive so far this season, this past season, with getting Marshawn Lattimore. I love that he made that deal. Even though it is kind of it's still up in the air. I love that Adam was aggressive and showed that he had faith in this team and this roster. And I would love to keep all our picks. I would love to do that and stand pat. But at the same time, you have to get proven talent. You have to get a proven commodity. You have to get a proven wide receiver number 2 in here, and you have to get a proven edge rusher in here. And that could be Myles Garrett. It could be Max Crosby. It could be Khalil Mack. I would like to draft Mike Green from Marshall, but he may not even get to 29. Shamar Stewart, He may not even fall to pick 29. I know there's some other edge rushers here, but would a rookie edge rusher come in here and be as impactful as Myles Garrett? They would not. So that's what I think of when it's like, hey, we're going to trade 2 firsts. To me, it's still worth it. He's 29 years old. Khalil Mack, is still super impactful at his age as well. So it's time to buckle up and be aggressive. Whether it's Charvarius Ward, DJ Reed, maybe Byron Murphy at the cornerback, but you have to upgrade the cornerback spot, and you have to upgrade the defensive line. You just have to, in the interior and on the edge, for sure. Because there was a lot of games where Jaden had to put the team on his back and be Houdini, and our offense had to be our defense. Can we have a game where our defense can just show up for us? There were some games where the defense had good games, but, is there a game where if Jaden has a bad game, he can have a bad game? I'm not saying we want him to have a bad game, but you get the point. Like, if there has to be a dogfight 17-14 win, which I highly doubt will happen, but you just never know. Can the defense step up and make stops? Can they make a play to get off the field at the end of the game? There was a lot of times this year where they just weren't able to do it. The Falcons game went to overtime because they just couldn't get off the field. They freaking snapped the ball over Bijan Robinson's head, and they still found a way to score a touchdown with a rookie quarterback in Michael Penix. And it was like 3rd and 20 or something like that. It was just ridiculous. So too many times we've seen that happen with this defense where Jaden had to come in to save the day. Way, way too many times. So the defense had their moments, but, you look at that last game of the season and even the Lions game, we had to put up 45 to win that game. And the defense did help. They forced turnovers. But if they're not able to have ball as life, we need guys to make plays and get pressures on the quarterback consistently, for sure. And Khalil Mack can do that still. Myles Garrett certainly can do that. Max Crosby can do it. So let's see what they do. We've seen a couple articles in the offensive side of the ball. Kyle Pitts, we'll see. T. Higgins, I think he's going to stay in with the Bengals. Garrett Wilson, we'll see. Chris Godwin. Other guys in free agency may be in play. So, but I like that. I love that Adam Peters is going to be aggressive and go all in. This is the time to do it. This is the time to do it now. It really is. It's the time to do it now. All right. So the other part of the article, it talks about Cooper Kupp. This is the part that I'm not really too high on, to be honest. But Cooper Kupp is not bad. He's not a bad player. Like, he's a solid player, but to trade for him, to give up a pick for him and take on a contract is just not something that I'm looking forward to or would like to see them do. So this is what the article says. This is from Jeremy Fowler. Execs predict Rams receiver Cooper Kupp will have a trade market because he's quarterback friendly, makes contested catches, and is the type of first one, last one out worker who resonates with the new team. We do love that here. Jaden gets to the facility, what was like 5:30, 4:30 a.m., something like that. Him and Luke McCaffrey would get in super early together. Luke McCaffrey, I don't know why they weren't on the same page this year, but hopefully they can get on the same page next year. Jerry Fowler goes on to say questions about age 31 decline in production. Lower body explosiveness and injuries loom, but he can still play. He caught 67 catches, 67 footballs for 710 yards and 6 scores this season, missed 5 games. The contract is an issue, though. Kupp is due $20 million in 2025, and all but $5 million of that is guaranteed in the form of a roster bonus. The Rams would likely be willing to eat some of the contract to facilitate a trade, which is good news there. A few musings on prospective teams is the Commanders could be looking for a complimentary receiver to Terry McLaurin. He also goes on to say Kupp would have instant chemistry with Jared Goff if the Lions were willing to make a move. So these are some of the teams that he talked to executives about and that he just feels like would have a need for a wide receiver too, which is true. I mean, we need somebody to pair next to Terry. De'Ami Brown, let's see if we bring him back. He's a wide receiver number 3 or 4 at best. Noah Brown, same thing. Ozzie, same thing. Who else? James Crowder, really wide receiver 4, number 5 at best. So we got to get a wide receiver number 2 in here. But just bringing in a 31-year-old guy who's on the decline, who's missed a bunch of games over the last couple of years, ever since that Super Bowl season where he had 1,947 receiving yards, 16 touchdowns, which is crazy, and 145 catches, which is just insane. That really is. That's just insane. Those are mad numbers. But ever since then, 2022, 75 catches for 812 yards, 6 touchdowns, 9 games. 12 games in 2023, 12 games again in 2024. So he's just missed a couple of games each year. He's missed at least 5 games the last 3 seasons. So 737 yards. He has not eclipsed 900 yards in the past 3 seasons ever since that Madden All-Pro type season. Those are really MVP type numbers. Like, he got MVP votes. He got 3 MVP votes that season, which is just crazy. He had 1 Offensive Player of the Year vote that year too. And he deserved it, really. If you have almost 2,000 receiving yards, you are deserving of an MVP vote at least and of an Offensive Player of the Year type vote. Seriously. And he deserved it. And he showed up big time in the playoffs too. So he would be a chain mover. He does fit our culture. I'll do say that. I will say that he does fit our culture. Quiet guy, not a yeller, not a complainer, not a whiner, not a diva wide receiver. So does he fit the culture? Yeah. So if he is released because nobody wants to trade him, let's say he's a post June 1st cut or whatever, gets cut because nobody wants to bring him on or trade a 5th round or 6th round pick for him, I'm all ears, to be honest. On a 1-year deal, bring him in as wide receiver number 3, bring in Chris Godwin as well, and then you revamp this wide receiver room, or you draft a receiver, Luther Burden at 29. If you still have that 1st round pick, we'll see if we have it. I actually don't think we're gonna. I think we're gonna trade it, to be honest. It's a late round pick as well, which is gonna be late. It's gonna be a late round pick for the next 10 years, hopefully, or a late pick in the 1st round. So yeah, I mean that's the only reason why. That's the only way I would bring in Cooper Kupp is if he's a late release and we bring him in, or we give him a 6th round pick and then they eat the 60% of the salary. That's the only way. That's the only way I would bring in Cooper Kupp. So all right, you guys. You guys let me know what you guys think. As always, that's the news dump for today. Health Commanders. Peace.